What's good, Adam? Man, it feels like it's been a while since I've been here. We had the town hall last week, and then before that, we were in New York. So really, I guess it's the first time in a few weeks outside of the town hall, man.
It's like riding a bike, brother. You're back in. It's good to go, man.
Well, if anything, I learned from New York is that everyone was very interested in runes. Very, very interested. Very, very interested.
Again, we'll get into it, but I'm really wondering, are we in a crowded trade situation here, man? The idea, it seems like all of crypto Twitter's aware of what's happening here. Obviously most people aren't going to run nodes. Probably most people aren't going to be etching runes, when it drops, but I don't know. It feels really freaking crowded, man. Really, but we'll get into it.
Yeah, there's a few ways to go about it. You could be the etcher, right? You could run a full node and you can kind of get on the ground floor. You could be the speculator and try to trade off secondary, or you could try to build a product or a project. So there's literally 5 or 6 different routes you could really go about this. Do we not have your Twitter Spaces thing on the live stream today?
It was, it's fun. I had to reset. I don't know if you guys had this the thing they were yesterday. It came out that like iMessage was not working or was like hacked. Did you see this?
Yeah,
basically a whatever they call that, a 0-day thing. And so I had to like redo my phone a bit, and doesn't seem like it's working. I'll try to get it hooked up as we go.
That's okay. First and foremost, to start, I want to say what's up to Chris, who's back from Coachella, man. How are you feeling today?
Yo, man, it feels good to be back. But just like you said, we were in New York. It was, a ton of fun out there, connecting with a bunch of people. But miss being on the show with you and Adam. So stoked to get into it. This is probably the biggest week that the crypto industry has seen in years, possibly ever.
Yeah.
With the halving coming up, Runes launch. Just so much going on. Hong Kong ETFs could potentially be launching. That could be a huge deal. We've got a lot to get into. So
it's pouring rain in Dubai. Monsoon season. People are saying that the monsoons are basically following the crypto communities around the globe. We had rain all day in NFT NYC, and then Dubai's getting like flooded. It's weird to see the desert get flooded, but I'm sure, dude, did they even have like, drainage for the rain and stuff there? I mean, it's like they probably get an inch of rain and it's a disaster over there. I can only imagine.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, New York, is horrific. Also, if there's anybody who wants to come on stage and join us, please feel free to talk rune strategy, or on the bottom right of the Twitter Spaces, hit that purple button, post a comment, post a question. We're happy to answer any and all of them as we talk through the strategy. Also, make sure that you retweet the space. We got 42 people in here. I think we could get a little bit higher and talk everything runes as we close down. Unfortunately, I don't think the halving is going to be on 420. I think it's missing it by...
Oh, really? Is that true?
It's missing it by about 2 hours because crypto runs off UTC. And unless the miners start slowing down, it looks like it's actually going to be on 419.
Oh, no, dude. That was like the ultimate, man. I was like that ultimate 420, 2024, it was man, slow down, I guess. Slow down these blocks. Let's push it. We got to get it on 420, man.
Yeah, if Dogfather, if you're available, I'd love for you to come up and explain your runes kind of, I guess, thread with the graphic that you've been doing a really good job on. I've been using that to kind of reference everything that's going on here.
Totally.
We could kind of start, I guess, with kind of some of the main players. Something that I've been noticing, and this was something we were talking about here months ago, was, will runes trade similar to BRC20, or are they going to trade like on Uniswap, like in a DEX style? I think many people were very were awoken to a very rude awakening that
this is not going to be Solana, man.
That Unisat and Ordinals Wallet both posted previews, and it's exactly the same as BRC20 is.
Where's my Proton wallet on my phone with Solana where I can just, insta sell, insta buy, dude? That's the experience. I mean, we've talked about this now for, I don't know, 6 months. It's like, will the market support this kind of little bit clunky infrastructure, And I mean, in our experience, and certainly Emblem Vault's experience, the answer is yes. If money's there, the market will support literally anything.
Like they'll pay any fee to get across
the board. Any fees, 5 steps to inscribe. I got to run a node. Like they'll do anything if there's money involved. But if that liquidity dries up, holy smackers, it's like it'll go to zero fast.
I think maybe this is a conversation for another day. The amount of meme tickers or the early tickers that are now migrating to runes, which is also something we're talking about, is becoming a lot larger than I thought. So you have Pepe is migrating, Meme is migrating, Wizard is migrating, Zbit, Pups, right? You have literally all these OG ones. At this point, I think if you're a BRC20 and don't migrate, you're just going to get insane amount of benefits from BRC20 2.0 when it comes in 3 months.
I'm just wondering what migrate means in this sort of situation, because I haven't dove in. Does that mean you've got to like lock your BRC20 or burn it, or what does that mean for those projects that are migrating to runes?
So this is actually a good place to start, because I put this tweet out I think like a few weeks ago. My guess is I think less than 50% of these pre-rune projects are actually going to make it across. And there's a reason why, is because you need 4 or 5 things. There's 4 or 5 criteria to really hit to have a successful quote unquote migration, because there's no real way to do it. You either airdrop these tokens, right? Which people are going to realize is going to be literally multiple Bitcoin to do.
Yeah.
I was listening to his spaces with Solana Chris, and he's doing, I think it's Bitmap Valley. And he said to airdrop his runes ticker to 30,000 wallets was going to be like 6 Bitcoin or 5 Bitcoin or something like that.
Wow.
So he didn't announce who, but he said he reached out to a launch pad and is creating a claim portal, which is obviously the next thing to do, right? Because you're going to have to push the gas fees on the user if the team can't supply it, right? Which is going to be the case for the most, or is going to be probably the situation for most teams. The only ones that I really have true confidence in is Runestone and Arsic, right? Because Roktoshi's got a ton of money.
Yep. And
Leo, I think they made like 8 Bitcoin off the auction. So they're pretty well capitalized. Also, the Arsic announced a partnership with Memeland today. That was pretty cool to see the ETH crossover to Ordinals, but conversation for a different day. So, right. So if you have to build a claim portal, this means that you either have to build it custom by the team, right? Or you have to partner with one of these launch pads or marketplaces. I know there's literally 5 or 6 that have came out and announced it yet. Like Ordinals bot, Magic Eden. I think OKX said that they were going to have one, Luminex, et cetera. But now you're in a crowded line, right? If there's 50 pre-runes projects, and also keep in mind that, time is of the essence. If you don't migrate these tokens within probably a week or 2, the community, like the trade's gone, right? Like you don't have the tokens unless you have a clear leader who can keep the community at bay for weeks.
Yeah. I mean, like you think maybe Leo could do that, right? Somebody with like real like influence and, and the community's kind of voracious enough. He could do it. But few other, and I think he's already said he would wait for, wouldn't do it immediately. But
right. And so you look at some of these other ones, and I'll pull up here on the live stream here in a second. There is a handful of teams that they're pre-runes, but it's really undefined, right? Are they migrating these tokens over? For example, like we'll use Pepe BRC20. They said there's going to be a migration, right? So are they burning these tokens, right? Is there a claim portal? What happens to the old BRC20s? Do they send it to Satoshi's wallet? Yep. How are these other people getting the tokens? And then a big component is how does the value transfer over? We've learned this through our historical NFT days. Remember how many attempts at burn-in mints that they tried, where they would take a token on one, try to burn it on the other side, and the majority of the time, it does not work.
Nope. People don't like burning mints. They don't.
With fungible tokens, maybe it's a little bit different.
Maybe.
I mean, from the NFTs perspective, the only one who had any sort of success slightly was the DeGods team, right? Newts, and they did it pretty well. But
Well,
even
I mean, we have OCM did it, right? I mean, pretty
OCM,
successful.
that's true.
Yeah, OCM and DeGods, but DeGods did it. OCM's done it. So I guess, have we seen it with fungibles? I'm trying to think.
I mean, you do this like consistently with just bridges and stuff like this. Sure. It does lose a little bit of the community value. I mean, if you're a meme coin, it's kind of a hybrid of an NFT community that's circling around a fungible token. It's a little bit different than just taking WBTC or right some of these other ones. But here, it again, right? The irony is that people are there's all this like hype, and a bunch of these BRC20s are doing 5x's and 10x's to literally migrate over to the same exact experience. Literally the same experience. Bro. But I did listen to Magic Eden. I was listening to Magic Eden Spaces. They said that they're developing something different, is what they claim. I don't know how different you can be. I could tell you from firsthand, building Omnisat for a year at this point, it is very tough to build a deck style thing. It's very difficult to do. Yeah. And there's always going to be some sort of off-chain component until you get something like OPCat or some of these other drive chains or state chains or some of these other like Bitcoin upgrades. There has to be some sort of off-chain component to it, which is where a lot of these actual, where most of these DEXs and AMMs for fungible tokens on Bitcoin are really kind of moving towards. Just no one really talks about it because you're going to lose some of your audience. Totally. Regardless, but most people I think will kind of subtly figure it out. So moving on to, the migration, how are they going to migrate, right? Are these teams going to be using these runes as kind of their currency of the community? I mean, we saw this in 2021 with Ethereum, right? How many of these PFP projects launched in ERC20 and how many of those ERC20s did well?
Right. I mean, we're thinking about like, I was thinking of the guys from CyberKongs, right? Because they're going to do a runes for them, right? I mean, they were like, maybe not the first, but one of the first. They did their like bananas and obviously ApeCoin. And like, so, I mean, it's meme coins, man. It's like, it's the race to zero on almost all these. Some are delayed as people think there's going to be, okay, well, it's going to be my other side fuel or something like this. But, you just wonder. I mean, it is so much attention, and this attention is going to be a very, very small window. At least history tells us this. How do you take advantage of that window on Bitcoin when the gas fees are so much that it's just, you're not going to be able to do it? I mean, it's going to be impossible. It's going to be millions of dollars to try and move your community over, which means, okay, what do? You do a snapshot and airdrop. And like you've just said, airdrop for 30,000 is, 6 BTC or something. Holy smackers, this is gonna be so crazy. I just can't even. It's gonna be fun, man. We should do like a 48-hour space, man.
That would be fun. Yeah. I think it's on Friday, so we'll have to do Friday and Saturday. Sure. Yeah. Maybe we'll consider it. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of spaces going into the halving here.
Oh, for sure.
So then this leads, right? You have this migration. It's kind of this no man's land because we know gas fees or transaction fees, I should say, on Bitcoin are going to appreciate by magnitudes. How high, we don't know. I've seen some people speculate it to be in the thousands. The question is then, how long does it continue at that rate, right? It could honestly just be a few moments where you just have a few miners come in and basically buy all the blocks, and then at that point, it's kind of over, right? It's like, what are you really racing towards? They basically won the block, and they're going to probably auction off all the early etchings or whatever the case really is. You always got to be prepared for some curveballs because this always happens. No matter every protocol that's released by a popular builder, it ends up being utilized in a way that was not intentionally built for that. I mean, you can go back to, you could take it to the heart of the Bitcoin conversation, right? Is Bitcoin cash or is it store value? Is Ethereum's the same way. Vitalik said that NFTs are used in a way that he never predicted. BRC20 with Casey. I assume there's probably going to be something similar here as well. That's probably honestly where the real opportunity is.
I mean, you think about it, right? It's like, okay, what this could be, what's it going to be? NFTs, maybe it's a social layers built on runes. You know, who knows? I think, you know, we've learned that actually those provide kind of these rare opportunities where somebody's doing something just totally off the wall, right? And you can get in early and inexpensively. I think, you know, but I mean, just what I see on Solana, and I know guys are trying to build like a pump.fun for this runes drop and have something ready like that. My gut goes to, okay, people love this idea of getting in at near free. So there's just going to be, it's going to be thousands of runes within a day. I mean, it's just going to be thousands. But how one of those grabs attention, obviously it's got to be the right ticker and stuff, but bro, it's just going to be, I mean, I guess that you could say it's going to be influencer driven as to which ones are going to catch on and stuff, but there's just going to be so many. How could you possibly pick winners in that sort of environment? It's going to be rough, man. Especially with high Bitcoin fees.
There's two strategies, I guess, main ones. If you're going to literally sit there and wait or participate at the halving, there's the route that you're going. It seems like you downloaded an Umbra.
Yeah. So I bought an Umbrella, I think it's called. It looks like a little, I don't know, an Apple TV. It's about that size, but basically it's like a souped up Raspberry Pi. It's got like a big SSD, I don't know, a couple terabyte SSD. So it's like a souped up Raspberry Pi that they've built their own like, software on. So like literally we know my struggles with Bitcoin Node. Like the Bitcoin Node was the easiest thing on earth. It was literally like being in the app store. You click the button, you click run, and 20 hours later, it's there. It's done. So that was really good. And they have same thing for Ords or Ordi or Ord and the Ordinals app they have. It's literally download and start it. It takes forever. I think it takes longer than the node itself to sync. And then I got hit yesterday. So if you guys are doing this, I mean, you can buy them. They're like $400, but when you do the Ord download, it's got to go through the whole blockchain, right? But then like Ord did an update like 2 days ago, and I had already synced. I did the update, and it's like it has to sync the entire thing again from scratch, which I was like, wow, I can't even believe. I'd heard about it, but I couldn't believe that was required. So it took like another 36 hours for that one to update. And now, just so you guys know, and you can actually run, I think, Umbra like locally on your computer. But they're going to have an update. The CEO told me today, they're going to have an update, I think tomorrow, to basically run the terminal natively in Umbra, while before you had to kind of piecemeal it together. So it's going to be a native experience. So hopefully it's basically the easiest way to kind of get set up. A little bit late now, but you could still get it on Apple, like next day delivery or whatever, on Amazon or whatever. So for the dummies out there who just want to get set up, I'd recommend it. It is pretty simple.
And maybe from a more advanced perspective, I'd like to lean on 8-Bit here, who's our kind of resident technical degen. Would you like to give us maybe a little bit of insight into your rune strategy? I know the ticker is runes, but then also how do you set up? how are you setting up? How does somebody set up a node if they want to? And then also, is it too late at this point?
Dude, it's never too late, man. For me, it's like this. Even before the runes protocol was even coming out, it was very vital to educate people on, why we're doing it. And like Adam just said, it's like plug and play with Umbra. Umbra is amazing. And shout out to Mfers and Elizabeth Olsen, because they tweeted out a wonderful video earlier today that really illustrates how easy it has become since last year. So I love Umbra, man. But if you go to Ord Library, I've got a real nice tutorial for you guys.
Oh, yeah. I highly recommend everyone to follow 8-Bit. He does a really good job at all the technical things for degens who want to be a little bit more sophisticated or sovereign, I guess, with their strategy. So Adam, pivoting back to you then, going through and setting up an Umbra, is your strategy to sit there and monitor Twitter to look at what which etchings to mint or which runes to mint? How much are you loading up in that Bitcoin wallet? Are you just literally just want to sit there and just have a front row view for the options? What is the strategy here?
It's funny because I'll probably chicken out and not do anything. You know the way it goes. I'm super conservative, and I'll actually probably be watching for one would be a big influencer or somebody we know that does something or launches a rune themselves. So again, leaning into that like influencer angle, right? Where I think, okay, if I don't know, Udi says, yeah, hey, just for fun, I'm going to do Opcat, I'm going to do some ticker, right? And it's just for fun. Here you go. It's for fun. That fun, because I can count on them to, promote it and stuff. I would lean into trying to get some of those. And then but the secondary, I'm not going to ape into a ton though, because I think most of it's going to be wasted funds. But then I'm actually hanging out and I'm looking for something along the lines of, seeing a bitmap or not bitmap. I'm not saying bitmap, but something like that, which is different, which actually is different than just the meme coin. So expanding on the meme coin and looking at it in a new or interesting way that I think, could have some legs to it, and giving people the opportunity to get in on that sort of experience. That's when I'm, hopeful that, because I'm on Twitter 24 hours a day, I'm, deeply connected, have lots of friends. People are going to DM me and stuff, and they're going to say, hey, look at this. This is kind of interesting, and be able to take advantage of that sort of situation. That's what I'm really kind of hoping for.
Interesting. Also, Chris, can you let some of the other people on stage? I see a few requests for Dogfather. And so here then, looking for tickers, right? I mean, there's going to be, we know Magic Internet Money is going to be one. There's already a handful that people are like, okay, whenever this is etched, like this is going to be a winner and it'll be probably minted out quite quickly. If gas fees or transaction fees, in the first 72 hours sustain over 500 sats per VVite, which means it's probably going to be, $40 to $50 for one single mint. Is that something you'll degen and participate in, or do you think that's something
now I will? Because I learned with stamps, when stamps happened, I thought $40-$50 was stupid and like crazy, and you'd never make that money back with SRC20s, and obviously fumbled that bag 100%. Because I literally, that was my brain, was $40. How does a meme coin? This is impossible, right? But then they ran up to $3,000, and I'm like, oh, that's how, so yeah, lesson learned. Yeah, absolutely. $40-$50, honestly, when you think about it, is nothing in this sort of context, depending on the opportunity.
All right. I mean, going back to the Mooncat rediscovery, at some point, I think those were like getting in the hundreds.
They were literally, no, the rediscovery was like $50. And like I've told this story. I think I DM'd who was it? Maybe ETH Horde or something. And I was like, bro, this is, or just sent a tweet to him like $50, boy, this seems expensive, and he wrote back, he's like, well, I don't know, DYOR, man.
They ran up to $4,000,
and then that was, that was the, then I went full in. But it was like, yeah, at that point in time, you can't know it until you know it. And certainly $40-$50 when you think about these sort of opportunities is nothing. So yeah.
So you're saying then there's a possibility that an artificial floor could be quote unquote etched, or kind of built into the foundation, because we'll just play like kind of a thought experiment here. Let's say one of the popular runes is a million supply, right? And then this person has a million supply. You can only mint one per token or one per mint, and it's $100, right, to mint each one of these. So you could say there's a theoretical floor, right, of it's going to be like $10 million or so, or even $100 million, where the people who had basically minted said, hey, this is my floor, right? I'm not going to sell. You'll probably get a slight dip of people trying to leave the position really quickly. But this could be, painted across hundreds or thousands of those, right? If the gas fees stay that high. That's why I think unless you're really sophisticated or committed, I think you also need to have a very large bag. You're probably going to need at least 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 Bitcoin in the beginning, because if you have, let's say, 1,000 that are etched in the first day, which is probably going to be more. And all of these cost $50 to $100 per mint, right? How many of those have a community of non-paper hands that are to say, hey, you know, we spent $500 to etch these. I will not sell anything below $500.
Yeah.
Like, how many of those do exist there? So 1%, 2%, right? That's what I think it's the
Like 5 or less. Yeah.
It's probably the highest risk, highest return is trying to etch some of these early ones just because of the cost. Some people will become incredibly rich. I think most people will end up ultimately.
I mean, if we take the stamp analogy and the SRC20 analogy, which I think is very relevant to this kind of price structure, there are only two that actually made you money, right? You had to either get stamp or Kevin, right? Kevin was the first one, and stamp rolled out later, but it had the good ticker. Everything else is basically you probably ate that $50, right? So yeah, something else to keep in mind. But I want to get to Fitzy has your hand up for a bit. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining, bro.
Gio, mate, great conversation. I'm just trying to learn myself. What really hurt was when you were talking about these Umbra devices, because I tried to get one, and in the UK they were like, no, it's going to be 4 to 5 weeks.
Oh, brutal. Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus Christ. So I've had to go, and I'm still in the process of doing this whole SSD manual kind of stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah.
To answer that question from earlier on, do you have time to do this? If you're starting today, I don't think you do.
I mean, like my advice, if you are starting today, is go get yourself like a fresh laptop or a fresh computer with a really nice, like 2 terabyte SSD or something like that. Like that's what I would do. You know, and maybe 8-bit can comment on if that's like the strategy, but that's what I would do. Make sure it's an SSD too. Make sure it's an SSD. You can't have a spinning wheel, man. It'll be 4 years for you to, you know, get your node running. Yeah. Sorry, Fitzy, go ahead.
No, and that was it. I mean, I think you've kind of, you know, you've already sort of discussed some of the things that I was interested in. I've got more questions because I'm still kind of also going down the rabbit hole of, okay, once I get this up and running, then I'm thinking you're ahead of me in your thinking. Essentially, this conversation is kind of past where I am. So you're thinking about what's my strategy for doing it? I'm still thinking, okay, what do the screens look like? Where am I going to go and do this?
Right.
I believe I'm going to do that in terminal on Mac.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. So like, I've been learning all this the absolute hard way.
Yeah.
But like, I think I'll probably just sit back and listen to you guys because you're kind of at the point where I'm going to be in the next 24 hours.
Well, definitely give 8-bit a follow, and his website has an incredible amount of info and helpful stuff for you there. And obviously he's the man. So if you DM him,
dude, I'm adding Umbra for you, Adam, right now. Yes, sir.
But I'd say, Fitzy, the hard thing with the like the external, just the way that works, it can be challenging. And I tried to do it, you know, when Ordinals first launched, and I never got it working. Not to totally dissuade you, but the thing is, what you can do, and this is 100% sure, if you go in the Ordi Discord, basically guys have preloaded the entire blockchain up to a certain, you know, block height. So you can just download that. You take that file and then put that into the proper folder. And then when you start updating your node, it doesn't start from 0. It starts from like a week ago. And, you know, so rather than, you know, 24 hours to update your node, it takes an hour, you know, so you can definitely do that. That 100% will work for you. And it will be way, 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 way faster. Like you can do it in a day, in a couple hours, really. If you do that method.
Wow. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I've been in there a few times and sort of been bouncing around, really being inefficient with it all. But it's and it actually earlier on me, Bitcoin Core turned around and said, I forget the exact wording, but it was like terminal error. And it literally just crashed. And I was like, I thought that it had completely deleted the entire blockchain. And then I spoke to Rabbi, and Rabbi was like, no, here it is. It's still here. But like, as you can tell, having a nightmare. But you have to learn this stuff. And also, what disrespect that you don't think, like disrespect to 8-bit, that you don't think I've been following that guy since time.
Yeah.
That's my man, Fitzy.
Just want that to be on record that like I'm not following this guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, bro. Without the on-chain monkeys and what Danny laid down, you know, I would not be able to inscribe a single version of recursion. So I learned so much from you folks. So to hear you say that, sir, that's an absolute honor. Appreciate you.
No, I appreciate everything that you guys do, and I'll go back to listener, but this is valuable conversation.
So at some point as well, There's two major things to the etching kind of strategy, which Adam's going to go through. We'll cover that. I'm actually taking the opposite route. I'm going to be doing secondary and looking for some other things, which we'll get into in the second half of that. I do want to call on Dogfather, who had his hand up, and then we'll go to Chris right after. I don't know if you still do. Dogfather, you still have your hand up? I saw it open up earlier. If not, if you're busy, then all good. All right, go ahead, Chris.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
Shoot forward there, Dogfather, if you're there.
I think Dogfather's walking the dog.
All good.
Go ahead,
Hey
Chris.
guys.
All right, he's back. He's back.
What's up,
Hey
man?
guys. Yeah. I'm on my bike, but I didn't want to miss it. I mean, the whole thing with setting up the nodes. I mean, this is really something a very big learning. I have my mainnet running, my test node running, but it took me quite some time. So, and at the end, you have to decide whether it's really worth the while, whether you really want to use it, or whether you don't actually need it. So I wanted to have it just to have it, and as a backup. But I think for most people, it's really not worth the while because it's quite hard. I mean, even if today I, for example, discovered if you add a rune, then you have to wait 6 blocks until you can use the odd wallet again. So it's kind of like blocked. So these types of things you just learn if you play around with the testnet for a while. So it's not enough to, to spin up the node and think now you're ready and know everything. This is just the beginning. I mean, this is really just the beginning. And you compete against people who were doing that for a month and who are like devs and who code some scripts to snipe and whatever. So I think if you take that just as your personal mission, then this is fine. But don't think that you have your node set up and now you're competing against the big guys. I mean, definitely not. This is not enough to have your node running. Even though it's like fun, but I would not say this is the end. I think this is just second step of a long journey.
100%. Go ahead, Chris.
For sure. Jake, man, I think you need to put some respect on the pups names. I think those guys are definitely going to be migrating. Had a pretty successful migration over to Solana side. Crushed it over there, making huge waves. Huge lead in terms of their kind of market attention for the meme coin. And also Mavin's bot with Wizard. Those guys are pretty cracked at the moment. So definitely need Jake to put some respect on Wizard. Put some respect on.
Tell me about Wizard, because
okay.
I see Wizard popping through my timeline, and I'm not full. I mean, I know the meme and everything, but
so it was actually deployed by Mavin's bot, the original artist of the 2013 Wizard meme that went super viral on Reddit. So he deployed that early. He's talking about migrating it over to Runes as well. So I think that a lot of them are in the same boat, that I don't think that they're planning on migrating immediately. So I think that you actually do have kind of a big window. I think that the attention of Runes will I don't think it's a flash in the pan. I think it's more of a midterm, long-term play as well than just kind of over the next few weeks. So I don't think that there is this giant rush to migrate. A lot of it is played to see, but I think it's pretty obvious that one thing that this is doing is getting a lot of people to load BTC ready, get an Mfers wallet, get a Unisat wallet. And so they're going to have all of this kind of, liquid Bitcoin ready to do something with. What does that do for BRCs that are not migrating? Maybe something like, the original memes or the original Politify tokens or whatever. What do you guys think from maybe a first is first, or I know you spent a lot of time in historicals. What does that mean for some original BRC tokens that are just sitting there with a nice Unisat interface where you can kind of search by deployment? What does that do for some of those?
I mean, all the early memes are the ones that are migrating. Meme was the second, and I think Pepe was the third. Both of those are migrating. Wizard was the OG ones migrating. Like they're all leaving. I think that 2-3 months, or I guess probably 3 months from now, once BRC 2.0 is announced, Whoever stayed is probably going to succeed. Like OXBT is burning, they're doing a runes thing. I don't even know who's hanging around, to be honest.
Wow.
Outside of Track and Benny, but they have their own runes kind of protocol with Pipe.
Has Wizard, like the BRC20, pumped over the last week or so? Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely gone from like 5 million market cap to like 150 million.
Come on,
so,
are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Holy smack!
Over the last week. But Jake, you said you think some of them will actually complete the migration, which I agree with, and then some of them probably have. Me and Adam talked about this last week, where it's basically a call option. You have no downside to saying you're not going to migrate, but you're probably right in the fact that some of them are going to decide not to, can't afford it, whatever it would be. I'm surprised nobody's just really leaning into just staying on BRC in general.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of an open lane at the moment.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. Who's going to stay to be determined, or who just decides to double down? Probably in the next month or two, when the runes infrastructure is improved and the mempool settle down, you'll probably see some real BRC20 opportunities there.
One question, like, okay, it's pumped to 150 million. How many meme coins are there that are over 150 million right now? Because I mean, like, what was it the other day? So, I saw the Mfers, right? Mfers, which, was a pretty big meme coin on base. It was at like 45 million or 40 million, right? And it had a shit ton of attention, right? And I mean, I'm just like, how many $150 million meme coins will market support? And that 150 million, everybody thinks it's going to $1 billion. Like, that's why you buy at 150 million. It's because you think it's going to still, 5, 8x, 10x. I don't know, man. Boy, it seems like I don't know. Let's go to Scribe. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? In regards to Wizard, I don't know if anybody saw, but Arthur Hayes just tweeted out a screenshot of his buy order. So he's holding. It's going to do some numbers, I do believe. Not long before Ansem does the same, and they also talked about getting listed on Poloniex exchange for the BRC20. So that's good. In regards to the Umbra node and people spinning up their own node, I think, like Dogfather said, that's going to be a very technical hurdle for most. And if you've not started yet, you're kind of late. It takes multiple days to sync the chain and to install the ORD client. So, and just aside from the technical prowess that is required to operate from the command line, most people are not going to be able to utilize that. So, leveraging some of the tools that exist, I know Luminex has an open beta. I'm sorry, a closed beta. I was able to test, and it's beautiful. It's flawless. The UI is incredible. It's going to be one of the leaders, I think, for people on day one. I'm not sure what Magic Eden will look like, but I'm sure that they're going to execute very well. Additionally, but Luminex is great, and also
so Luminex is for etching and doing that.
Yeah, Luminex will allow you to etch, mint, transfer. I'm not sure if you can buy and sell.
Right.
Here, I'll post this up to the top as well, because they also released a tool. One thing people do need to know is to split those UTXOs.
So you have to pre-split your own UTXOs. That's not going to be handled by like Luminex for you.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So imagine your Bitcoin in your wallet like a dollar bill. It's much better if you want to spend 20 nickels. You're going to have to first spend that $1 and then wait for the refund. So you have to wait for multiple block confirmations to get that change back.
Yep.
So if you only have a single UTXO, you can only mint 1 or 2 times in a single block. So splitting them ahead of time, maybe not right now because fees are pretty high, but we don't know if they're going to come down either. If they do come down and subside a little bit, maybe sub 50 sats per VByte, then it'd be a good opportunity over the next few days to split some UTXOs or transfer sats to different wallets. Xverse will allow you to create multiple accounts with the same seed phrase. So move small chunks over there so that you can mint in the same block or in consecutive blocks without having to wait for confirmation. So that's going to be a vital step.
Is that a better strategy than trying to split? I mean, I know you can use like Ordinal's wallet and stuff to split up UTXOs, but is it a better strategy in your opinion to just put a little bit of Bitcoin in, 30 different wallets? Is that a better strategy?
I'm doing both actually.
Okay.
I think, I'll have multiple wallets with UTXOs, but also the Luminex tool that I just pinned above is really great for distributing into a single address so that you can mint with that one address and not have to flip between browsers, between wallets, sign out, sign in. And, but it's good to do both because you never know what's going to happen. You want to be prepared on all ends and have the ability to mint. If you see a ticker that's sending, be ready. You want to have everything, all of your ducks in a row so that you can capitalize on that.
So wait, what's your strategy, Ben?
You mean it just in regards to
in general to day one, day two? What are you looking at?
I've got multiple different approaches. I would say I think that I'm going to be looking at some of the tickers that are trending. I'll definitely get a couple of uncommon goods just for the lore, just for the memento, as it were. Maybe get a low number uncommon good. The tokenomics suck, so it's not going to be a trade play, but just a keepsake. But identifying which tickers are minting, you can look at the mempool and see what transactions are leaning towards. And also, I can't reveal too much. We're going to talk about it on my show in about 15 minutes if you guys want to join later on. And then on Friday, we'll dive deeper with a new tool that's coming. It's called NukeBot. It's by a very goated team. Their advisory board is massive. I can't disclose a lot of that, but it's essentially a tool that will enable you to monitor what is really popular. And I can't say too much beyond that, but that's going to be an invaluable tool launched to the general public a few days after launch or after the halving, so that you can really see what is the best bang for your buck as far as rooms go. But my personal strategy on, Friday night when the halving block comes, and then 6 blocks later, after we ensure there's no reorg, then I will be mass minting as many things as possible. But I would also caution everybody, keep your cold wallet cold. Don't ape into everything. Sats are the best room. Do not blow your bag on all of these different tickers. It might look good to you or have familiarity with you, but that does not ensure success or mass community support. So spread your bets. Don't put all of your sats on one horse. Ride all of the horses, and just play it safe. Really conserve. Be in preservation mode in tandem with your degeneracy mode. So that's my strategy.
Cool. Dogfather, go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, what's also important besides looking what's trending is when these tickers mint out. So if you have a ticker that takes at least a month or so to mint out, I mean, there's no reason to mint this in the first day because fees are high. So you need to only mint those early that are like low supply or low number of mints where you have to act. So be very, prepared what you mint. And so for example, Casey's rune, I mean, this will mint for 4 years. So I would say there's no reason to mint it early. Just for the culture, maybe one or so. But I mean, this will be just a waste of gas, waste of fees. So only mint those things that are super hot, where the communities who are like pushing that and that are minting out soon. And for all the others, you can just wait a bit until fees go down.
Yeah, go ahead, Fitzy.
Yeah, I think this might be a good time to ask my question, right? The only other one that I had. So I've seen screenshots, like a couple of them, of how it's going to look. So when you go in there, you're going to sort of see start, end, which literally means, start block, end block, how much they've kind of pre-mined and, i.e. added to their own treasury, et cetera, et cetera. And has anybody seen a thread or a video or any kind of asset that breaks that down, what good looks like and what bad looks like, as kind of like a cheat sheet for people? Because I think when you see that stuff, and hopefully you understand the screen I'm referring to that has all the information about the actual rune itself. In fact, do you understand what I mean?
I do understand what you mean. 8-Bit, do you want to chime in here on what your thoughts on kind of how to look at that screen and tokenomics and stuff like that?
What screen specifically, my brother? My bad, I missed the last part, Fitz.
Yeah, I can only describe it because I don't really know the screen. I've just seen a screenshot of it, and it's one that will kind of have things like the start block, the end block, the ticker, the mintable remaining, mints. Like, I think I understand what that is, but I don't know where that is.
Yeah, I've seen that kicking around too. I don't know the website or who's building that tool. Basically, it's an explorer trying to break down the runes. Like, 8-bit, you haven't seen anything like that kicking around? I don't know.
I've seen like 3 or 4
Yeah.
of those kind of going around, brother, man. I've seen this Luminex thing. It's pretty cool too, but yeah, you have to pin it.
Yeah, maybe it'll be it would seem like Luminex would be positioned to have that. Yeah, to try and figure out, because it is going to be, and I think there will be ones, that it's going to be, it's very easy when you get in FOMO mode to just start aping stuff that you realize later, oh, it's got this huge supply, or oh, the team has X amount of percent. I mean, dude, if you've used pump.fun in the last couple of weeks, bro, it's just, that's the ruggage all the time, right? You don't even realize that, oh, the team has 70%.
My man said rugged.
Right. I lost all my money, So yeah, I think heads up, and one of the reasons also, that's just another reason to not FOMO too hard early on, because there are going to be people getting wrecked all over the place for this sort of stuff.
So for the second half, I'd like to talk about the other strategy here, because I know there's some people probably in this space that are similar to me that actually just have no interest in not downloading just a node, but going through the whole process of downloading it, doing the UTXO management, right? Trying to know that you have to wait 6 blocks to etch, right? There's cenotaphs. You could destroy your whole bag if you haven't structured the UTXO properly. And you're just like, hey, I have some free runes and some liquidity, and maybe this is the better strategy. So this is one that I'm taking. For note, I have a few rune stones, so I'm just going to be airdrop liquidity to begin with, right? And so when you look at this, right, you're going to be airdropped dog if you have some rune stone, which gives you this initial liquidity, where most of these people who are etching are going with just bare Bitcoin and trying to etch and find that, that 10,000x. Here you have runestone that's equivalent to $5,000. And so when you're airdrop that's essentially your liquidity to swap if there is a swap module, or to sell and try to participate in the markets here. So if you're going in this other route and buying on secondary, there's a few things, right, to look for. It's, for one, if you look at BRC20, anything that has a lot, like that's going to take a long time to mint out, generally a month or longer, it's generally cheaper to actually buy it on secondary market than it is to actually etch it itself. For a long time, Sats, the BRC20, it was like a 40% discount buying on secondary than it was to actually going and etching it. So I think those who are early, you're trying to find just whatever the meme coin is, and obviously meme coins pump the hardest. If you go one phase down, there is going to be an immense amount of utility tokens, community tokens, right? Whatever XYZ token for these different projects are going to be announced that aren't just going to be, hey, let's mint this meme coin, right? So you're going to have a bunch of different, probably already large players coming in and doing a runes, right? Whether it's an NFT project, right? Like kind of like what Cyberkongs are doing from Ethereum. They're going to announce a runes, right? You'll probably have some of these marketplaces, some of these inscription tools, some of whatever coming out and launching a runes. And those are not going to be the tickers that are going to just be randomly deployed for people to mint out freely. There's going to be a whole strategy behind it. And if you get signed these right, I think you have probably just maybe slightly less upside than finding, the 10,000x meme coin.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of upside there, right? And so if these projects are going through, these utility tokens will generally be distributed in a few ways. They're either do this free and fair launch where they'll make an announcement and say, hey, this is where what you could go mint. It's free. This is what Track did, right? They just put an announcement and said, hey, this is for free. This is our ticker. Go ahead and mint it out. You'll have a handful of projects going through, I guess you could call it an IRO, initial runes offering, right? Like a public sale method. There's literally an infinite amount of launch pads there. Whoever is on the live stream, yes, this is live. Yes, this is absolutely live.
We see you.
We see you've been acknowledged. So you have like public sales, right? You have teams that are going to basically post that to go mint it for free. There's going to be pre-sale metas, right? This whole KOL thing, right? There's people going around trying to pre-sell some of it, which is completely okay as well. Just understand there's all these different methods. And then there's going to be points programs and kind of whatever program exists, right? Whether it's a participation in their ecosystem, retroactive rewards, et cetera, et cetera. So I could see, you know, between these four things, to me, it's much less stressful than trying to sit there and trying to etch the meme coin. If you just say, hey, I'm okay with missing the first 100x, right? I'm okay with missing a meme coin going from 0 to $50 million market cap, and as long as I catch it from 50 to 1 billion, right, that 20x is kind of okay with me.
Tell me this. This is what so you got some runestones, right? And I just did the calculation. It's sitting at like $500 million market cap right now, right? Right. There are only a couple, you know, billion-dollar coins. I mean, is your strategy to not take profits here? It's just simply, look, this may be, you know, it's going to drop, I don't know, multiples, 3 of them, right? So, you know, you just feel like the upside is, you know, a couple of those might pump to $1 billion. And so you just feel like you're missing out on potential liquidity. What's your viewpoint on just not taking those profits off the table right now?
Yeah, I think Runestone and probably RSIC are probably the two strongest ones going into this. First, just like don't fade Leo, you know, working with him for 3 years, doing shit. We've done years of podcasts with him, so we just know him inside and out. I know he's got a lot up his sleeve, which I think he's going to announce some of that here pretty shortly. But the fact here is, like, with Runestone specifically, I don't think it just stops with the 3 meme coins that Leo is going to drop. I think it's going to be literally dozens of tokens are going to be dropped to this. Some may be worth a lot. Most will probably be worth a little. I mean, the Animoca Brands Ordinals project came out and said they were airdropping some of their tokens to Runestone holders. I saw Billy Resty doing whitelist for Runestone holders. Like, I just think that continues because
continual rewards, basically.
Continue reward, just because it's a Taproot address, and Runes runs on Taproot, BRC20 runs on Taproot, Atomicals does. And so it could just be like this just wide kind of community ecosystem airdrop thing, because that's what the community values bring. The value of Dog or whatever the token is and some of these other ones, I don't know.
You'll bump the shit out of that, but you're going to hold on to that Runestone, man.
To me, it's like, you know, if you're launching a utility token, why would you not give 2 or 3% of your supply to 77,000 holders? Even if 1% of those people stay, you have literally 1,000 active users on day one, right? Like, to me, that just seems like such a no-brainer if you're going to launch a project. So I'm forever bullish on that. How long it goes for, I have no idea. And then the value of Runestone will probably fluctuate as tokens are dropped, right? It'll probably happen. Dog is airdropped, or whatever the ticker name is. Runestone, the asset, is probably going to go negative 80%. And then you're going to have 2 or 3 projects come in and announce airdrop, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh shit, there's a lot more coming in.
Yeah.
Coming by holding this. So you know, outside of that, and RSIC, which is obviously kind of putting on a performance here, partnering with Memeland for the distribution of their token, which is a genius idea. It's looking on secondary for me and saying, you know, because there's going to be some social validation, which is going to be very clear, whether it's on Twitter or whether it's in Discord for whatever that meme token is. I'm okay with missing, you know, from it going from 0 to 40x or 40 million or whatever it is, because you could still capture the upside. I do think there's probably going to be 3 1 billion runes in the first 90 days. I actually tweeted that a while ago. Just the sheer amount of liquidity that's sitting on Bitcoin just waiting is going to be immense.
Yep.
But also, too, I think something that I'm looking for is seeing which exchanges and marketplaces capture the liquidity. I think it's going to take probably 30 days to see what it is. I think Magic Eden's probably clear number 1. But so what are these other siloed kind of marketplaces or exchanges that are going to capture liquidity? Because whatever, wherever that liquidity goes to whichever place, that's where probably a lot of these like slept coins are probably going to be cultivated. Like, I don't know if you participate like in the Doginals ecosystem, whatever goes on to doggy market are generally the ones that tend to pump, right? Not the ones that are going on to Doge Labs. And it's very similar like this across these other ecosystems as well. So kind of looking to see who that that small time player is in the Runes infrastructure and seeing which one of those could capture liquidity is, I think, where a lot of these like slept on dimes are. Although, again, I do think the highest upside is probably etching some of these, but to me, it's probably the highest risk, highest reward there, which I think a lot of people have no problem participating in.
Not
right?
even no problem. They're really willing to, max out the credit card to do it, man.
Yeah, I'd like one more note, and then I'll call him Dogfather. I do think Pups. I actually like Pups. Farmer Joe's a really good friend. He's a genius. The issue, I think, with Pups is that it's going to be too fragmented, where it's on Solana, then it's on Runes, and it's on BRC20. And as what we've learned through migrating assets, you never get 100%. It's always stops around 75%. So you're going to have these laggers, Pups, that are going to be sitting on BRC20 who just don't migrate because whatever their reason is. You have this liquidity that's on Solana with a liquidity pool, and then you have them migrating to Runes. I don't think it's a high chance, but I do think there's a more than 1% chance that the Pups community just says, why are we trading on Runes? It's such a better experience on Solana. And then they go through the whole process all over again of creating a new Runes LP pool on Solana, just because that's what their community has been doing over the last month or so. Yep. And it's really hard to downgrade an experience when you're already accustomed to this, like, high frequency kind of trading. So I just think the fragmentation of it is going to be a little bit of a hurdle. I do know Joe has the skills to do it and the bankroll and stuff like that. But again, just the coordination of going through and, we do this at Emblem Vault literally every day, going through all of these trade-offs of things of migrating and stuff like that. And it's just a very large hurdle for people to overcome. So that's just something I'll be paying attention to. I do think it'll do fine. Maybe the fragmentation ends up actually pumping it higher because there's less of the supply to go around, right? Totally. You're going to get this weird arbitrage, right? Where it eventually pumps so high, it gets brought back down by the other side or so much, or people just completely ignore it. To be determined, but I do like Pups. I think it definitely has a very, very strong community behind it. What's up, Dogfather?
Yeah, so now I'm down for my bike and I don't need to breathe too hard. So I mean, for all these pre-rune projects, I mean, you can also have a look at my Rune ecosystem map. So the top ones are like in the first row, like Runestone, Arctic, and Rune Pups, and then the Genesis Rune. And then all the others, they're also like interesting ones that are maybe not so like expensive. So depending on your budget. And so that's definitely one important part of the strategy, right? To have some pre-runes already in the bag, right? Because we never know what's happening. And I think one of the most important developments, that are not included in the map is that Unisat is now also actively supporting runes. Very, very late. So I checked their Twitter and everything, whether they mentioned runes, but they were really silent, and now they have something. And I think this is one of the most important developments, because this was like the most important hub for BRC20, or is still the most important like hub for BRC20, that they're also now offering rune support. I think this is big. I wouldn't say this is too bullish for BRC20s that are not migrating, except like Audi and Sats. Because I mean, they will bring liquidity to runes. And I think this is a very important sign. It's pretty bullish to me for the runes ecosystem that they also move over, because that was like the biggest play on the BRC20 ecosystem. Also like with Bast and Slot, they're also supporting runes. So I don't see anyone not going into the runes ecosystem. And then we have all these startups that popping up, plus established players. So this will be like, this is like amazing development.
It's crazy. I mean,
Yes.
just think about, I mean, it's not even launched yet, right? To have all this activity happening. Have we
100%.
seen anything like this before? I mean, it's really incredible.
It's close to the ICO era, but here there's an actual product on the other side, or at least kind of.
And the products of meme coins,
right? It's the protocol. I would say it's closest to the ICO era, to be honest, which gives me a little bit of skepticism around the complete migration of it.
Yep. Yeah.
One thing I would like to know, so I do have here pulled up on the live stream, is the Dogfathers 3.0 runes ecosystem. There's a lot on here in terms of marketplaces and dexes that aren't even listed as well. Right? There's like Rune X, right? You have Unisat. I know Omnisat is one that we've been working on as well. There's a bunch of these kind of like low kept, right? You know, probably Binance and some of these other ones. And then you'll have some that really come out. I'm telling you, there's going to be one or two that this just seemingly comes out of nowhere and just captures everything. And you're going to be like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? It comes every single time, right? Unisat was that for BRC20. And with ERC or like ERC or 4.4, there was like a certain type of marketplace. It just like it always happens every single time. I do think there's going to be probably one of these marketplaces or dexes that just blows up due to cenotaphs, and they just completely have no idea how to order the transactions properly. And unfortunately, some people will lose a lot of funds, and it will just blow up in horrific fashion. I do think that will probably happen, unfortunately. But we'll see. That's why I say you got to be very careful. You know, it could even be just an honest mistake, but from what I've read, the UTXO structuring is basically pushed on the marketplaces and dexes. So do be very careful interacting with some of these. Again, if there's going to be, you know, an underdog that comes out and captures everything, there's probably going to be a few of those that are going to make some mistakes on the other side of that as well.
Let's get to Major's got his hand up. What's up, man?
Hey guys, thank you. I have a couple of technical questions. One question I have about etching runes. So, first of all, I'm kind of concerned. I never did command line. I never did any of that. It's my first time, and I know cenotaphs could happen, and I want to protect myself. So, I'm a bit technical. I'm a product manager in software in Web 2, but so I can actually figure it out on my own. But for someone who never done it, can I etch my own rune? You would think I can pick that up on my own. And I have a technical question. So if I do etch a rune, and you know how the reveal happens, you commit and then the reveal happens 6 blocks later. But what if someone else committed to the same ticker? Then we would have like a fee war on the reveal. But if no one committed to the ticker, then no one can snipe it, right? But then what if the fees are too high? Then how would I know 6 blocks ahead of time how much the fees will be at the reveal to etch it? Or do I pay the fee already? Did I pay the fee already?
8-Bit, you want to jump in on that? I mean, I think I could almost answer that, but go ahead, 8-Bit.
Yeah, totally, dude. So I believe you do have a fee war at that point. You know, I mean, I think that's exactly what's going to go on, bro. And that's why it's going to be PvP. And I'm saying that you really want to kind of zoom out and watch others really battle each other, because it's going to be insane, guys.
Yeah,
in my opinion. You know what I mean?
So I think, Major, if that answers it or not, I mean, it's possible. Like you put out, you know, that you want to claim this ticker, right? It's sitting there in the mempool, right? You have to basically be aware, is another ticker popping up which is the exact same, right? You have to be aware of that. And if it is, right, then you're in a fee battle for who's just gonna win, right?
But if it's not, then there's no fee battle. Then I win.
You win. You just have to be included in the block, right? Like you'll sit in the you could sit in the mempool for a year, right? If you don't pay enough fees to get into, to get included in the block. So you have to right, you have to get included in the block. It's nothing until it gets included in the block. Does that make sense?
And the first 12 hours are going to be super high fees. So most likely a lot of us will be pushed to the side if we don't pay extra.
Yeah, I think you at a minimum you have to learn how to see what's in the mempool. So if you're looking to etch your own, you have to be able to kind of read the mempool and read what's in there. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
If I could just jump in there,
Yeah,
I got to run. So on that note, when you broadcast that commit transaction, it's encrypted, so nobody will be able to see that during those 6 blocks. So the only way that somebody can actually snipe in the 6th block reveal transaction is if they committed to the same ticker, unbeknownst to you or them, that you both were vying for that same ticker. So either way it goes, when it does come time to reveal, you want to definitely spam the fee button on the reveal just in case.
Gotcha.
But there's no way that they can monitor the mempool to see what your ticker is.
Okay. So I stand corrected.
That's a great tool. I think that was Ryan Dow who created that Siphon anti front running mechanism. So that's great, but still, you don't know who's going to try to deploy. If you have a very popular or sought after ticker, then you want to really increase that fee rate upon the reveal transaction to secure it. And I've got to run. We're going to go do an RSIC specific show. So when you guys are done here, if you want to talk more RSIC, please join us. Otherwise, I appreciate you having me up. Great job.
Yeah, thanks for that info, man. Appreciate that.
Sure.
That was legendary, bro.
Yeah, maybe Adam, maybe we'll save this for Thursday, but Query from Magisat just launched what's called a mempool marketplace, which is which is basically you could bid on an ordinal all the way through the mempool. So it's basically, it felt like the issue with like Magic Eden and stuff. If you use PSBTs, it's centralized. But you hear it with this, you could bid on, or you could purchase an ordinal, and then for 10 minutes, anybody could come in and bid on it while it's going through the mempool.
Jesus Christ.
Which I think is kind of really cool. I think that's true free market capitalism.
Jesus Christ.
Really following it all the way to the end. It's very, very interesting. I was listening to him explain it yesterday. We'll save that conversation for either tomorrow or Thursday, but it's exactly to what you guys were talking about, is the MEV sniping, Satflow and some of these other guys that are doing it. Is now kind of mainstream. I think a lot of people got burned recently, and or just like front ran from some relics, and they're really annoyed. And Query is the first one taking a stab at saying, "Hey, if there's gonna be sniping, let's just make it public," which some people don't like, some people do like. So I think that is something to follow there. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Major. I mean, at the end, there are 2 games in the runes after halving. One is to etch your own rune, and the other one is to mint existing runes that are already etched. And I mean, I was also thinking about etching my own rune, but at the end, you really have to question yourself a couple of things. First, do you want to pay the super high fees at the beginning to pay early? So if your main USP is that you're early, like in the first 1,000 or so runes, then you need to pay a very high price for that. And we talk about like 0.1 Bitcoin or maybe even more. So first, do you have the budget for that? And then the second is, let's say you're successful and you have that rune etched. I mean, are you like big enough to actually push it that this is minting out? So that's the next question. And the third question is, I mean, let's say it's minted out. Are you like good enough to push it that this is really becoming big and pumping? And you're fighting against maybe 1,000 or 2,000 other tokens. And I mean, I asked myself these questions, and then it was like clear, no, I can't do that.
Bro, wait a minute. You are big enough, Dogfather. We believe in you, man. We believe in you.
Bro. I mean, honestly, I was really thinking about whether it's worth it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I mean, are you funny enough for a meme coin? And I was like, no,
hell fucking no.
I mean, I'm not having a mullet. I'm not like Bunsey or Swag or these types of people. So I can't do that. So I was like, maybe I can do a utility token, but that's something I don't need to etch in the first kind of blocks. I can wait a month and then pay like $10, have a utility token and drop it to people who help me and like friends like you. But that's not, I mean, that's really like the things you need to ask you, not whether it's technically possible, but whether it makes sense and whether you can do something with that. And I can think about maybe 10 to 100 people who can do that, and they will do it, and they will do it right, and they will pump it like crazy, and it looks easy, but it's not.
Not easy.
I mean, you're not, it's like these super kind of like memers or very large accounts or super connected people in the BRC20 community, like some Chinese whales, they can do that. Most of my friends can't do that. So really ask yourself whether the etching game is something for you. And then comes the minting game. The minting game is like also for small people, with also smaller bags where you can look for, suitable tickers and then mint some if it's like suitable for you. And I think there's some alpha too. So yeah, this is like the rune game. You really need to think about right now, not like at the halving where you feel FOMO everywhere, but right now you need to, formulate your strategy. And you don't need the node for that. You save some fees and stuff. But I think most important is the right strategy. Really to think about how much money do you have, how many tickets do you want to go, what is your UTXO management, also like a strategy for everyone, really the alpha for everyone, even if you don't have any money. Try out all the new platforms, go into their discords, be helpful. You never know whether they be kind enough to drop you something. Imagine the Unisat OG passes that were like 0.5 Bitcoin or so. These are like the rewards you may get if you help those guys, finding some bugs, being kind and repost their tweets, being active in the Discord, maybe even becoming a mod. I think this is like open to everyone, and you learn so much doing that. So if you want to look at the ecosystem map, that's on the right, all the infrastructure providers, there are great companies there. I appreciate it a lot, testing out those services. They're like great offerings. They look awesome. Great people. You don't need, spending too much time on running your node and becoming frustrated is not helpful for most. There are great products out there, and the most important thing is your strategy, really.
So I pulled my tweet up from March 26th. I put the runes timeline. It's actually aging pretty well. This is kind of the route I think these tokens are going to pop up. So phase 1 is meme coins. Phase 2 is utility tokens. Then it goes down. Phase 3 is NFTs, gaming and metaverse, creator/community coins, TradFi products, and interoperability. And so what I mean by here, this is me kind of just like looking across the history of crypto and just seeing the evolution of different token economies. Meme coins are always first, right? Because there's no utility. Then people come in and they try to add utility to these tokens to try to figure out what's the best method. The one here with NFTs, I think this to me is my dark horse. That's where I think some people are going to figure out how to kind of game runes and put inscriptions on top of it and create 1155s or 721s or something of that nature. To me, there's no doubt the NFT degens are not going to figure out a way to put images on top of these or find it in some way. I'd almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
Then you have gaming and metaverse, right? I think this was the Animoca brand came out yesterday and said that they were doing runes. The creator and community coins, right? We already seen this with the CyberKongs coming in and doing this. And then TradFi products is generally like you'll see some sort of like derivatives platform pop up and start creating like these kind of TradFi contracts options.
How to stake your runes to earn more runes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, right. And then you get interoperability, and that's kind of once runes are kind of a little bit more built out, you get these bridges or vaults or whatever the case is coming in and figuring out ways to bring these tokens back and forth, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, right, I think the first two, meme coins and utility tokens, are really just going to be the bulk, right? You say maybe 70 or 80% of these tokens are going to be coming out and being utility tokens. The real hitter would be finding a meme coin where other parts of that community finds the runes and starts doing other things with it, just as like this kind of like what Pups is doing, right? That's kind of like, I guess, what you would want to see. But will it actually happen is a bigger question.
I mean, to Major's point, and this is kind of, my hesitancy along with kind of what Dogfather was saying of like launching a meme coin. It sounds like fun. Like I'd like to do it too. But you recognize if you're in the space long enough, like Major, just be aware. You launch something and you tell people about it, you're tied to that motherfucker for the rest of your goddamn life. You've just earned yourself a job Because like if somebody spent money, etching those, bro, they are going to be on your ass to pump their shit forever. So just head on a swivel before you jump down that rabbit hole. Keep your eyes peeled, man. It'd be a lifetime commitment that you did not want to get into. Just heads up, man.
Yeah, I mean,
that's definitely my my main strategy is to have a pool and spread it out across some of the first runes that will be minting on the first few days. I'm not gonna rush into anything, but I do have a really cool ticker name that I want to have it. It's like
Sure.
I just want to mint it because I'm gonna feel bad if someone else had it before me. I'm not trying to grift or put. I just feel like it's hilarious, and I want to see it on Bitcoin. So
I totally get that. Totally get that. Let's go. I think Question Mark had your hands up real quick, and then we'll hop over to Fitzy.
Thank you for having me on your space. This has been really informative. We have a Ordinals project Freemint open right now that has a game attached with rune rewards. Question: with the halving upon us, what would you suggest in terms of mint timing in the next 4 days?
For runes?
Yeah, runes and ordinals.
Look, if you can get in on that first block, good luck. But I mean, realistically, there's going to be a lot of interest around what are the first ones. That just is natural human nature. But I mean, look, to be clear, I have zero question that large projects are coordinating with miners to try and be, guarantee themselves a spot. So, I just don't think I don't know, whoever was talking about Dogfather's point, you're just not going to be able most normal humans, in this space aren't going to be able to play that game because we don't have the pockets, the deep enough pockets and the connections and the time and energy to kind of be included in those first blocks. But I think, certainly the awareness, if you put it off and you're, to save money and you're going to put it off for a week, 10 days, you risk losing the attention early on, if that makes sense. Let's pop over to Fitzy. You're muted, man. Fitzy, we lose you, bro?
maybe got a call or something.
Yeah.
That happens quite often. Do you want to call on Edge? Was that Edge?
Edge has got a mooncat. What's up, Edge?
Fuck yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, bro.
Yo, how's it going? First of all, I would like to thank you all for the great commentary every day. All the alpha, you being so dedicated to all the projects and everything. Like, you're doing a great job. Good job.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate it as well. And the whole community does. A quick question. So basically every person or a group of people that want to etch a project, they could allocate a percentage of the runes to the team, to themselves. Do you think that people would, what percentage of allocation would the teams reserve for themselves? Do you have any assumption maybe?
Sure.
How this is going to go?
Yeah, I'll give a little commentary, then we'll go to Dogfather. I mean, it seems like, markets will in crypto kind of accept anywhere 10 to maybe 15% like team allocation is very much seen as like acceptable. I think and the stronger the team and the more well-known and the more ability of those leaders to kind of influence other people to be interested in the project, the bigger stake they can take. If you're a nobody and you're taking 15%, like it's just way harder. You know what I'm saying? If those sort of situations, you may take 15% and say, hey, I'm going to, allocate 10%, 10 of that 15% to, giveaways and stuff like that. That makes more sense, right? So doing that sort of thing would be kind of my recommendation. Go ahead, Dogfather.
Yeah, we also had a longer discussion about that yesterday in the Ordinance show. And if you're like if it looks too greedy, then you completely shoot yourself in your own feet.
Yeah.
So like 5% is the max for you. And at the end, you just need to do a good job, right? You just need to have a large pie. So rather take less and make the pie big, and then this is okay. But if you're like too greedy from the beginning, even if you promise to do stuff like giveaways and giving it to influencers and whatnot, still, I mean, it's still in your wallet, right? Or it looks like this is like a related wallet, so it doesn't look good. And everyone can see it, right? So you have this Edge transaction, and everyone can see that you allocated 15% to, you know, the Etching wallet. So you can't send it to 3 different wallets to hide it. I mean, it's like on chain. So probably more than 5%, 10%, maybe really the absolute max. But again, I mean, who would actually edge a rune if you're not like super large and have like a great strategy, or like really a company or project using that? Just etching for fun, I don't know. I think we have to wait a bit till this really makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think just taking the Solana model, the pump.fun model, if you spend any time on that site, like, dude, there's literally like 10 a minute being like, you know, etched in this way or minted or whatever. Like, it is just, it's literally a waterfall of meme tokens. And so I guess the one thing that Runes has is the unique ticker names. Okay, those tickers are unique. While on pump.fun, you can use the same ticker name infinite number of times, right? So there is that. But remember, what are we at? I don't know, 13 or 14 digits. Like, then you go to 12 digits. Then you go to, like, dude, it's basically when you're in that sort of size, it's basically infinite, right? So yeah, just be conservative, I think, is our the general advice of the day. If you don't have much Bitcoin, you know, the best thing to hold is Bitcoin, but you know, I don't know. I'm fucking wrong all the time. So what do I know?
It's gonna be fun. I think we'll wrap up here then. It was a good conversation. Maybe we'll just continue this throughout the week, because there's going to be an infinite amount of opportunities. We didn't even dive into any of the pre-runs projects and some of the specifics. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow.
Sure.
Appreciate everyone for joining the show today. I know we're all really excited for Runes. I think it's a huge upgrade to Bitcoin, maybe even slightly technically, but I think just the interest that's been generated around Runes that's brought it back to Bitcoin, I think is almost just as important as the protocol itself, right? Just a new wave of builders and innovators who can finally, people who've been building on Bitcoin who haven't had a token or been able to tokenize that effort over the last few years in any form now has the opportunity to do this through Runes. I know they could have done it through BRC20, but this seems to be kind of the major capability there. That's why I think Tio was saying this yesterday on his show, is that, you know, you're going to see probably 6 months of progress of projects pop up, or of token drops in the next month or two.
Yep.
That equals or equates to 6 months to a year of progress, right? Because just think of it, just look through across Bitcoin, across ordinal space, across stamp space, whatever. How many of those teams do not have tokens, right? How many of them could find a way? That's why, for me, you know, it's fun going through both these strategies. For me, I'm more interested in those type of opportunities rather than trying to etch the meme coin. But Adam's going to be the pump.fun expert going into this. I have talked to actually somebody who's also attempting to build something similar.
It's addictive, man. It's completely addictive, as I lost, I don't know, 20 soul doing stupid stuff over there. It is. And I mean, look, this is the degen thing. It is. And so, yeah, I would expect this to get crazy for a while. But the ability to really make what you also learn on pump.fun is like that boom and bust cycle. Bro, it is literally 5 minutes on pump.fun, right? So obviously it's going to be much slower on Bitcoin, which I think is actually good for most people. But we'll see, man. It's going to be, expect the unexpected, bro. It's going to be crazy.
For those that don't know, Adam, myself, and Chris, who is at the Emblem account and on stage, we work at Emblem Vault, the leading cross-chain NFT protocol in the industry with about 100 million in TVL. You know, it's funny. I was having a conversation with a Bitcoin layer 2 yesterday about getting Emblem added there. And we were looking, just like kind of calculating the value of like Emblem. There's $22 million in just Nakamoto cards alone.
Shama lemma ding dong.
I was like, wow, that's literally a fourth of the TVL. It's literally just these Nakamoto cards on on Ethereum.
Awesome.
So it might actually, the number actually might be quite higher than what we think. So I'm excited once we have Emblem markets and we can finally get like a very good and definitive number on that. But we host a show Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be back tomorrow, probably talking the same thing. We'll probably be doing Bitcoin all week since that is the hot topic. We invite everyone who's here today to join us tomorrow at the same time, everyone who's on stage. Make sure you give Fitzy, Dogfather, 8-Bit, Questions, everybody else, Edge, who's on stage, a follow. A lot of good information there. And we will be back tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, guys, be safe and run them nodes.